out of line.
He doesn't have
Alright,
to warn
thank
you.
you.
I was like,
Hey, that is not boring.
I had to.
we are rolling.
He's
Now let's-
I thought it was pork chops.
No,
I did
it's
like
like-
pork chops.
That is not true. I had to. You gotta put it on.
Yeah, perfect.
Your boss is warning you.
Oh, wait, sure, yes, sure. Right, you know. Can you make sure we're live with the camera here, ready to go? Live streaming.
Okay. We're having fun over here.
Okay.
That's enough of that.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you everyone for coming this evening. Today is Wednesday, January 28th, and this is the Curriculum and Learning Committee meeting. So the Board of Education Curriculum and Learning Committee meeting, there is a possibility that a quorum of the full membership of the Board of Education may be in attendance at board committee meetings, including virtual meetings. However, there will be no full board action taken at any board committee meeting. Only members of the committee may vote on any item on the agenda. A live broadcast will be streamed on the school district YouTube page. To watch the recorded meeting, please visit the School District of Menominee Falls YouTube site. We are located in the district office, conference room 3344-3345, Pilgrim Road, Menominee Falls. And the meeting is called to order at 5:31 p.m. And was the meeting properly posted?
Yes.
Okay. So, I need a motion to approve the minutes from December 17th.
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
I'll abstain.
Motion has passed. And we have a few discussion items this evening. And one of them I know we've had a lot of questions on, so everyone's excited to hear about the talent development update.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I want to introduce Emily Seaberg. She is a practicum student from Wisconsin Lutheran, so she's working on her Director of Instruction license. She's able to join us.
Welcome.
And then I'm also excited to introduce Tammy Trumbull, our Talent Development Coordinator, who is going to share with us tonight kind of what she's been doing. So she's been very busy. As you recall, we with the support of the board, we're able to add a part-time talent development coordinator and to find an experienced talent development professional was very exciting. So Tammy has been working part-time this year. You also may recall that last year we partnered with CISA to redevelop a talent development guidebook to help support this work. And so we shared that draft with you. We're now coming back with that with a few changes, nothing huge. But we gave Tammy the opportunity to really, well, she's gonna talk about it, but make a few adjustments that we wanted to bring forward. This document will always be living, but we wanna bring any substantial pieces to you, but we really feel like we're at the next launch point. So that's very exciting. So I will turn it over to Tammy and try not to interrupt too much. Thank you for being here.
Hi, like she said, I am Tammy Trumbull and I'm thrilled to be here and meet all of you. Some of you for the first time, some of you not. So I apologize if you heard my little introduction about myself already. So, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of my background and how I came to be here in Wisconsin. So I am from New Jersey originally, grew up there in New Jersey, got married, started a family, decided to move to Oklahoma because it was a more inexpensive place to live and just thought it'd be a great thing for our family. But I did start my teaching career in New Jersey, went to East Stroudsburg University in Pennsylvania. That's where I got my elementary education degree. That's where I started. Taught for several years in a public school in New Jersey, some private schools. Then when we moved to Oklahoma, took a few years off with my kids, and then started back teaching in Oklahoma, in Norman, Oklahoma, which is kind of, if you know anything, it's right in the center of Oklahoma. It's a big college town, University of Oklahoma is there, so we had a lot of opportunities for our kids being in a university town. And Norman was very big in gifted education. We had a gifted resources coordinator. Kind of think about it as talent development. It's the same, just different wording. We had a person in every building. It was a very large district though, so we had a director who oversaw us, and I spent 8 years being a gifted resource coordinator in Norman. So it was very strangely happened that I was moving to Wisconsin because my husband got a job up here and started looking around and called Menominee Falls, because that's where we bought a house, and they're like, hey, we're looking for someone. I'm like, hey, I've done it.
The day like before or after,
I think it was before.
the approval process was almost there, but we hadn't posted anything yet. And I was like, what are the chances?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was crazy. So it worked out perfect. They said they needed someone, and I was like, oh, I've spent many years, working in the gifted realm. So I was excited for the opportunity, and working part-time was right up my alley. So I was
Awesome.
really looking for something part-time. In Norman, we really worked a lot on STEM education. We worked a lot with the kids on real-world projects that had real-world applications. We did a lot of technology, we did a lot of academic accelerations, all the kind of things we're looking to bring to Menominee, which I'm looking, and I know Amy is, to bring to Menominee Falls and really get a gifted program that's something that the community can be proud of and that you'll be able to see on a daily basis. Things like, I'm hoping to start things like robotics clubs and academic teams and, just all kinds of different things. Of course, all of this will require financial help at some point, but, I know that's a slow process for any school district. It's a lot different in
I was
Oklahoma.
gonna say, one of the things we learned very quickly was in Oklahoma, there was state funding for all of these programs, so.
So we had, for every identified student, it almost like it works on every student who's special ed, you get a certain amount. Ours was the same, every identified student. For gifted education, we got additional money, so we did have a healthy budget.
I think I was pretty clear in the interview.
She was.
Just so you know.
Don't come here, they keep it real, so she knows what she's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, well, and I knew enough to know that every state handled it very, very differently, so context is helpful.
Yeah, but I was excited to come here and get to kind of start on the program from the ground up. I took lots of information from we had an overseeing gifted resource for the whole district, because we had 27 elementary schools. It was a huge district. And so she oversaw us. So before I left, I was picking her brain right and left from her point of view. So up there is really just kind of my vision coming in. I really want for gifted or students who are advanced learners who also learn something new every day to also experience a productive struggle, learn by doing, and get to pursue their passions. They also need to be given the opportunity to not just sit there and be bored and learn what they've already learned, and we need to make sure that we meet kids where they are, and these kids happen to be in the advanced realm. So we do that for kids who are struggling, we should also do it for kids who are advanced. And yeah, you can go ahead. So what I've been doing since I've gotten here is first, Amy gave me basically all the documents that have been worked on so far. And a shout out to Nina Overholster and Lynn Grimm, who did a lot of the work and heavy lifting on making your guidebook. I was really impressed by it. It had all of the important aspects that you need to see to make sure that we are broadly covering and not leaving any kids out, really speaking to all levels of giftedness. So I looked at it kind of through my lens of coming from Norman, what I knew about gifted there, trying to make any tweaks that I thought wording wise or just the way we were categorizing. And then I went to WATAG, the conference up here for gifted educators, and I kind of had to come back a little because again, I was looking at it from a place where funding was really not an issue, and we had all set programming and a person that was in every building every day. So going to that conference was very helpful for me to kind of meet with other talent development coordinators around and kind of see, what are you doing? What can you do that's inexpensive? What can we do that's within a budget? And how can we start small and build? So I went through the documents, Amy, obviously meeting with Amy, and just assured that it had best practices, that it was consistent throughout. We made very minor changes just to some wording, so the guidebook is pretty much as you saw it. I also developed a couple new supporting documents. So we developed a flow chart to kind of take kids from when they are brought to us, either through recommendations by parents, teachers, self-nominations, through data dives, which I will be doing, looking at data, to try and meet kids and then figure out getting them into the process of screening them and then how do they move through the process. Because not all kids are gonna qualify as gifted, but we still wanna be able to give them the opportunity to have advanced work if they're needing it. So that's what the flow chart is. And then the second document is basically kind of a data collection point for us. So I don't think you have a copy of that one. It's really just more of an internal document where we can put all their scores together so we can make sure that we're looking at the whole student when we're assessing where they're gonna be, or how we're gonna meet their needs in the best way. And then this also was just our recommendation form, which you saw previously. Again, we just made a few changes here, simplified a little wording. We changed the self-nomination option to 6th grade and up because I didn't really feel like elementary school kids are really at the point yet to self-nominate. So yeah, that was just one. And then we took out somewhere where it was talking about students identified, when it talked about there's 5 areas of giftedness. And when you look at the definitions, it will say students identified as blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want it to come across as, if you're filling this form out, you're identified and I just wanted it to be clear from the beginning that we need to go through a process to get there. And so we just took out a few words that I thought might be triggering, because after doing it for 8 years, I've had many instances with parents who, everyone wants their child to be gifted, everyone wants their child to be advanced, but you wanna come at them from the beginning with, just because they don't necessarily qualify on some sort of rubric doesn't mean that we can't advance them from where they are. So just being careful with our wording. That document, and I think that's all about that one. And then we've been working on, so after I had fun with documents, I actually did get to do some enrichment work for them that hopefully will help the classroom teacher. So I've started a Google Drive for every grade. We're starting in elementary right now, so this is 1st through 5th for now. Even, I haven't done anything with kindergarten. We might get there, but normally you don't identify in kindergarten, it's too developmental, so it's not really probably where we'll spend much time. But looking at the new curriculum, the MyView curriculum that we've adopted, and being able to find all the enrichment pieces in there and just putting it in one easy place for the teachers to find. And then also adding other things, some depth and complexity, some noticing, some connections, some wondering, some book club choices. It's a living document too. It will keep growing and keep getting added to as I find more enrichment opportunities that the teachers can use every day for differentiation. It doesn't have to be a gifted kid, it can be any kid in the classroom. I did get to present at Valley View this, and I think it went okay. I'm getting negative feedback, the teachers were super great. I have had a few reach out to me and ask me some clarifying questions, so that's just one place to start with the teachers, me being a resource for them, because I can't be in every classroom, obviously. I'm only part-time and I'm only one person, so the main work still falls on the classroom teacher, but this hopefully will make it more simple and direct and
it supports the curriculum that we already have, so this
Yes.
wasn't anything new, these were just pieces that were in the curriculum, but there's a lot there, so just Tammy taking the time to be able to pull out those key pieces and just share them in an organized fashion, I think was really helpful, so.
And it was nice for me to get to go through the curriculum so that when they start talking about their curriculum, I'm familiar with, oh, yes, I've seen MyView and I know what units you're working on and things like that. So that was helpful. And I hope to be doing that at Riverside soon. And then the next slide basically just talks about some of the school-wide enrichments, because another piece to my job is making sure that we have enrichments for everyone. Some of these things we've done in the past, some of the things are kind of new. Obviously, spelling bee is not anything new. We are bringing the geography bee back in March, so we're gonna do that for 4th and 5th graders. Hopefully expand it maybe to 3rd even after that, but at least give them a little geography bee. In the middle school, we've just done the AMC 8 math competition. We had about 25 kids take the test and we're waiting on the results, and just something also for middle school, hoping to give them a few more I have these 2 new girls that are my best friends in middle school. They're very interested in anything I can come up with. I mean, they are so motivated. I'm very impressed with them. And then we did do in the elementary schools, we did the hour of code, so a little bit of coding and little technology piece for them. The librarians were a big help with that. We were able to get that, and we were able to do that for all students K to 5. We are gonna talking about doing it in middle school possibly next year. A little coding, a little AI, if that gets worked out. Because that's what they're, they need to understand how that works, and they need to understand ramifications of that and, be exposed to it. Some of the other things on here are just things that I have. Amy has been very nice to let me have some money when I've asked for it. So some of the math coaches have reached out for some extra pieces for their curriculum. So someone had found the Genius Square. I was, yes, I've worked with that plenty. Let's buy some. So we bought some of those. We bought the Omnifix cubes. Actually, we were in one of the classrooms and apparently there's an overabundance of Omnifix cubes at this district. So I said, oh, I know the perfect book where you can use them for enrichment, because I had used this book before. So we were able to buy that book and, share that with them. So little things like that. I'm glad to get to go into classrooms where I can see what they're doing and go, here's something I've already done that we can maybe try here too. And they're showing me many cool things as well. I think that's that.
Okay.
And then this is more middle school. In the middle school and the high school, we don't wanna forget them, even though we are going to focus on 3 through 5 first as far as talent development, start identifying, well, I'll get to that, jumping ahead.
We really talked about that as a great place to start because there are more opportunities as students get older. There just aren't as many opportunities outside of the regular classroom in elementary, and K through 2 really is so developmental. And sometimes we may think there's an area of giftedness, but that is so impacted on exposure, so it's good to give times. Late 2nd to 3rd grade is really when, as we talked with other folks, that was the time they were really starting to identify. So we really decided to focus as a starting point on grades 3 through 5.
So, but we are not forgetting middle school and high school, and still, since I've started, I've definitely been getting more parents and more teachers reaching out to me to discuss opportunities for advancement that already exist in Menominee Falls. We're just making sure that their kids have correct course placement, that they're aware of any opportunities available. We've been able to advance a few students in math already to kind of, if they need to take a concurrent course or if they need to take, and we've done some independent studies with kids who are clearly capable of doing an independent study so they can kind of jump ahead in math. We're also talked to the world language. We've been able to compact Spanish 3 and 4 so that now Spanish 5 can be available to more kids. So just little tweaks like that. There's a lot available in the high school for kids already. Middle school we could definitely spend a little more time on, but
And I think one of the things that Tammy's really helped with is guiding those conversations, but also ensuring the data-driven and consistency piece, so that we're using the same process for every student to make sure that we kind of have a consistent practice moving forward.
Yeah, we don't wanna let one student take it and then have another student say, well, I can't, so again, you do need to be consistent. Yeah, and the policies are helping. We are writing some and that's helping us.
Identifying some practices and
Practices, I keep saying, no, that's
It's
hard.
I know, it's okay, it's okay.
I
we
mean
just
practices.
talk about policies, things, big things with the board.
Just different languages.
Exactly.
So those are the things we're kind of working on as far as the high school and the middle school kids are concerned. Our next steps are gonna be, really starting the student identification process. We were hoping to maybe dive into that this year, but I think it's probably more realistic that we're gonna start next year. Identifying kids in 3rd grade through COGAT, through whole grade level COGAT testing. And we've looked into the company and pricing and things like that, and are kind of moving forward trying to get that situated so that maybe next year we can hit the ground running with starting with identifying. We're also gonna provide more competitions and opportunities in elementary, middle school as we find more. And of course, I'm learning about all local things kind of as I go. I've been here since August, so I've still got a long way to
And you've made
go.
some good connections with folks
Yes.
from other districts.
Yes,
and
yes.
Lucy said.
At WayTag, that was a help, and just met with Elmbrook, Jersey, or talent development coordinators, and through CISA 1, kind of coming up with. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have the gifted network through CISA 1 this year. They didn't have enough people interested, so, but that's okay.
That's right.
Yeah. And then I would like to have more professional development for teachers, just helping them find enrichment pieces, differentiation, not just in language arts and math and social studies. We have a new social studies curriculum too, so we've been looking into that and seeing what pieces there can be used to enrich students who need it. Working towards just increasing opportunities overall. I touched base with the librarian at the middle school and we are, I hope, on point to start having some academic team competitions in middle school next year, cause nothing is more fun to me than an academic team. So she was right on board when I proposed it to her and she's like, yes, let's do it, so.
Well, I know they're gaining popularity. I have children at the high school and I was shocked one day, I don't remember what I was outside for, but a bus pulled up and all of these kids got off the bus and someone said, oh, that's the math club. And I'm like, that bus was full. And they're like, yeah, they earn extra credit for joining the math club. And I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
But I agree, they have it at the high school and so being able to start earlier gets them
Yes.
set up for more success and engagement at the higher level, so.
And it's fun for them to go and compete and they're learning when they don't really realize they're spending a lot of time, you know, on some core subjects and they don't even quite realize it, but yeah, we had a good conversation, so I'm really hoping we can start that next year. And then opportunities, and then I think that's basically the gist of my monologue.
Well, one of the questions I had was, do we have an idea of what our population is, but it sounds like we don't have that data
No.
at this point, more it's been about the,
Everybody,
say process, that's not the right P word.
just the practices.
Practices.
Thank you, Zane. It's not me.
Not policy, not.
I didn't wanna say policy,
No, I
but
know.
more, and that makes more sense, to be honest. And then the second thing I had is, if my memory serves me correctly, at the last 2 annual meetings, there was a parent or a community member that came forward during open discussion and specifically asked about this program. I'm just curious if we have her information, and if, I think she also has
Do,
Okay,
Okay.
just
So
to be
I'm
able
the-
to just,
I don't, but
that was my first annual meeting.
Okay.
And just to jump in, and I think that's a good point, I do have her name, and there's definitely some follow-up that we can do.
I don't even know what age her children were, but I know she had a lot of interest because she was sort of a repeat messenger that I would love to be able to
Yeah,
show the
I would
work and
reach
the
out to her
investment in
if you pass that information along to me, or
Yeah.
maybe whoever.
Yeah, we can,
Just close
I know who it is,
Okay, yeah.
and she's an engaged parent, wonderful parent, and she has kids at the high school, I believe, right now.
Okay.
Maybe also middle school, high school for sure, I see her periodically still. But I remember her, it was 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, my first annual meeting, and it came up, like GT came up.
Yeah, we talked about
It was a specific thing, so my big piece is, it's good to come full circle, wasn't something we ever let go of.
Right,
And
yeah.
we're a lot farther along now than we were 3 years ago, or with it, which was not even close to this, and we'll be even farther along in a year, so.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it takes time, it's also gonna take financial resources, I think, and so thinking about how to structure the curriculum budget to make that happen to the extent that we can. So I think just in line of all the budget conversations as well, trying to be very thoughtful and not put something out there that I have to pull back. So just, I think it's.
And we don't have like a
slow roll.
count, like you were saying, but I am tracking anyone who is referred to me or gets on my radar through like a giant document with their graduation year, so that I can kind of follow those kids and check in with them from time to time. So the kids that have advanced in math, like the 5th graders that take 6th grade math, I've definitely got all those kids on my radar, My 2 high school friends, I've got a senior, although he'll be gone, but just different kids like that. We are trying to track ones that have been not nominated officially, but brought up as
Have
kids
been
who.
informally
Sure.
just sort of
Right,
identified.
I have 2 4th graders that were doing, their teacher really wanted something for them, and so they are in a coding program, like a self-paced coding program that those 2 work on during their day. Because the teacher reached out and specifically asked, so those are the fun things.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for all your hard work and the update.
I think it's, just another way to meet students' needs.
I think it sounds like you're laying a really strong foundation, and I think that your approach is right on with the grade level that you're starting on, and could you just clarify, you had mentioned like that student identification process and then that testing for next year.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about, is that all students then?
That's what we have,
Or
we
just-
have discussed
Okay.
different options
Okay.
and what order that goes in, but there is something called the Cognitive Abilities Test or COGAT test, which is well respected for identifying high ability potential, I guess.
Yes.
is the best
It's
way
a
to describe it.
cognitive abilities test, so it's different than an achievement test,
Sure.
where we're looking at their cognitive abilities, not something they've specifically learned. So it's a little bit different, and we use 4 or 5 different abilities tests where I was before, and this was the one that we use most widely, and we would use it as a screener. We used it in
Okay.
2nd grade and in 4th grade and in 6th grade, but again, but that's insane. 3rd grade is fine.
Yep.
But this is a screener to kids, and it doesn't mean you're in or you're out automatically. What you're basing,
Puts you on the watch.
it puts you on a
Yeah.
watch list. But some kids will come up very high, and automatically you're like, okay, this is a kid we need to have on our radar and work with. So it's kind of a way to look at a grade, and then as they move up, we'll know the kids, 3rd grade next year, those will be 4th graders, and then we've screened them, and we kind of helps give us a start.
So I think the one of the discussions we had through the process of developing the guidebook was, a place to start might be for students who, kind of would get to that referral process or we're hearing about it rising to the top as potential need, give that to them individually. And then ultimately what we would like to get to is to do that universal screening at late 2nd grade or 3rd grade. To ensure that even though somebody may not be rising to the top, we're making sure we're doing our best to identify maybe those needs that aren't as obvious. But we also, when you identify those needs, have to be able to respond to those needs. So we kind of have to be thoughtful too about like how we're intending to respond to make sure that we can meet the needs. So whether that's a next year thing or the year after, I think it's, for more discussion. We have not started using it, but we have the order information ready. So
I'm ready. Can we order that?
We're ready to go.
The one thing about the COGAT specifically is it's a great screener for abilities, but it also gives this giant printout that you can share with teachers about and with parents about their kids and about how they learn. Are they nonverbals? Are they verbal? Are they quantitative? Where are their strengths? And then it gives them a whole readout of what can I do to maximize those strengths. So we used to give them to each teacher, and then the teachers could go through and classify their students by how they're learning and then use that as a tool. Like if I'm having a small group with these kids and I have a lot of nonverbal learners, well, let's use that. So it not only can be a screener, but it's also a great tool to give to the teachers once we've done it and say, look, this is a little readout on this kid, and just looking at him from a different perspective, not just the number.
Right.
So that's definitely in our future at some point.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
Welcome. Nice meeting
to the
all of
district.
you. Thank you. I'm not sure how I feel about you as brothers, but working on it.
We're still undecided.
Yeah.
Didn't talk snow for
Not a
a
fan.
long time.
Yeah.
Tammy,
We did buy a snowblower, so we are now officially Wisconsin people who have a snowblower.
Yes, Packers gear.
I did, I bought a Packers.
Well said.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we are all college football people where I'm from, so I didn't really have too much of a,
So it's easy. So.
my husband is still a Giants fan, I can't get him out of that, but he is easing into the Packers world,
Okay.
so.
And thank you again to the board for supporting us.
Yes,
Jamie's been a great addition to our team and it's been really exciting to engage in this work. So I'm very excited about the potential for this, so.
Much milder winters in southeastern Wisconsin. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Up northern
I feel
Wisconsin.
like you promised it, it just irritated Mother Nature.
Well, how much snow did they get in Oklahoma?
They did, they just got 10 inches, so they were, of course, their school shut
So
down for
we know
like 4
Wisconsin,
days,
you know,
so
like-
they're out, no one's at school.
I know, my son was showing me a picture from Fort Sill, he's like, yeah, everybody's locked in
Yeah.
on the base.
Yeah, they're actually today waiting, are we gonna get another, cause they took off Friday before the snow even got there, like just in case it got there ahead of time. They're not prepared in any way.
Right, when you don't have the road clearing systems, it's a situation.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, it's nice meeting all of you.
You too.
Okay, next on the list of discussion items, we have Riverside and Valley View academic updates.
Yes, we're very excited to have our 3 through 5 principals here tonight to share with us their academic report for 2024-2025. So I've got the presentation up here. I am gonna go through this first part pretty quickly because a lot of it's a review of what we did last time, but I wanted to make sure we had some context for anybody who maybe didn't see the last presentation, but we'll briefly review those data sources and talk again briefly about the DPI report card. I will not go nearly into the depth we did last time. And then we have Riverside and Valley View here, and then briefly I'll wrap up with the benchmarking of how for ELA and math, how we compare across our comparable districts that we always look at. First of all, our data sources we have since we're looking at 3rd through 5th grade, it's just the forward exam. For 3rd grade though, we do have that Ames web screener that was not a part of the formal report card metrics, but is there as an independent single item. And then of course, the principals will be talking about their school goals for this year and their strategic actions as well as the scorecard. Or their report cards, and we always try to look for those bright spots, so you'll see several of those little markers as we go through. And again, we're just talking about forward, which we give in grades 3, 4, and 5 for English, language arts, and math, and 4th grade for science, and 4th grade for social studies. 4th graders get plenty of opportunity to practice for test-taking skills. So, and as a reminder, the DPI report card, we get scored in 4 areas: achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation. One of those pieces of on track to graduation is how 3rd graders perform on reading in particular. And then we know that there's weighting. Not all scores are weighted equally, and any attendance and graduation data that we were talking about would be delayed 1 year on that report card. We just took a snapshot last month for last year's attendance and graduation data, so that will show up on this next year's report card. And we know, I think we had lots of conversation about the ratings categories, kind of how the numbers changed, and so it's difficult to compare from 1 year to another, but and we knew that they normed the test for growth rather than achievement. And that the achievement data has 2 years of data results this year. Next year they should be back to the 3 years of data, which has been typical. And so while it's hard to compare scores year over year, we do look at how we compare to other schools and districts. That's a great metric for us of how we are comparing and did our ranking improve, which in just I think every area did. So that was great news. So. As a reminder, here's what the scores look like and the change from the past few years. So Riverside and Valley View both exceeded expectations and improved their score from 1 year to another. And also both schools improved their ranking across the state. Valley View had quite a jump this year as well. So good progress for both schools. With that, Riverside, Mr. Walter, thank you for being here. And just let me know if I don't scroll at the appropriate time.
Alright, I know you've seen some of this before, so I'll go through some of it pretty quickly, but thanks for the opportunity to talk about it. Pretty proud of our report card. It's been the highest, or it was the highest at 75.1 since 2018, since 2019. So we feel like we're trucking along pretty well, making good gains. We did for the first time, and just a shout out to Jenny, she found a conference up at CISA 6 in Oshkosh, and we spent more dedicated time this year to tearing apart the DPI report card. That was really, really beneficial. I think what we found that day in tearing it apart was, and this should be the case, particularly the growth scores, that part of the report card, we made huge progress this year on that, and it should be the case because the last 2-3 years we've spent very intentional professional development around those teaching practices within small group, those what we call tier 2, tier 3 kids, those kids that are maybe still struggling after core instruction, and what are our practices with them afterwards. We're making huge gains in that category. The con of that is, and this speaks to a little bit about what Tammy was saying, is we'd like to see a little bit more growth with those kids on the higher end. We have that dedicated time, that whatever I need time or win time in the schedule outside of core instruction. What is every child doing during that time to maximize their learning? So that's an area of growth for us. I'd love to tap into Tammy's brain a little bit more. I think there's definitely a teacher capacity issue. Our teachers are working their tails off and are doing wonderful things, but what are those little tweaks, like Tammy is saying, that we can make that would enrich and challenge and push, you know, those kids that the 80th to 100th percentile will push them a little bit more to make sure they're making the same growth. So that was some of our key findings of that day. Scrolling to ELA. Not much to say here. You can see we maintain the same distance above the state results. First year of implementation of the new curriculum, we're getting much deeper into talking and discussing those assessment results this year, where last year was really focusing on, you know, our walkthroughs and things. Are you implementing the curriculum with fidelity? Still doing that obviously in year 2, but we're getting a little bit deeper in our discussions around practices. Scrolling to the next slide, ELA by grade level. You'll see we have that ribbon at 4th grade. There was a significant increase at 4th grade because we did outpace the state at 4th grade. 5th grade, proud of because they maintained the distance above the state result, which had not been the case in the past. Typically, what we found with our results over time is there's a decrease in proficiency as kids progress up the grades, and that wasn't the case this last year, so we're really proud of those results as well. 3rd grade, the concern there was 3rd grade did have a drop, and if you compare it to the state remained stagnant, so there was a drop, which was counter to what we were seeing on Ames Web scores and MAP scores too. We were trucking along pretty good, so still haven't gotten totally under that, I'll be honest with you, in terms of why there was that drop from 3rd grade on forward. In math, if you look at math, we maintain the distance above the state result, so all good things there. The next slide, I think what we're really proud of here, what I'm really proud of is we have 2 ribbons there. There was a significant increase at 4th grade, and we did outpace the state at 4th grade. But really, 5th grade, and I'm gonna talk about Jenny here for a second too. We kind of stole from Valley View. They did really intentional work around forward in terms of pulling apart forward and specific standards, analyzing the standards and where are celebrations, where are they struggling on, and then she shared some of those plans that she had made the year prior, the work that they did. And then this year, we collaborated with both Riverside and Valley View staff. We met in October, and our teachers talked kind of across schools in terms of the same conversation, tearing apart forward, what standards over time, so not just 1 year, but year over year, are kids consistently struggling with, or can we celebrate, you know, the ones that the standards we're struggling with, how can we be more intentional in our teaching? So last year, we kind of piloted some things in 5th grade with that. 5th grade teachers were very, very intentional about it, and they specifically honed in on 4 standards. All of those standards had a 15 to 20% jump in terms of kids reaching proficiency. So that's kind of a practice, kind of an improvement practice we stole from Valley View, but made really good growth there. So I was super, super proud of that.
That's awesome. What a
Yeah,
good
we were proud
story.
of that. Yeah. I can say, and she's just not gonna wanna hear this, but having some history here, I've worked with numerous principals, one of which I still connect with, but I sincerely love working with Jenny, and working with all those principals, we have never been more lockstep as a 3 through 5 in terms of the district. We text very regularly, call very regularly, I think we're doing the same things. I think the kids have the same experiences at both buildings.
That's so
we're
important,
pretty good.
especially because
That
they're
was the
both
goal.
getting
Yeah.
into middle school, you wanna make sure you've got parity between the
absolutely.
schools, so that's awesome.
Yeah, she doesn't appreciate my humor at times, but
But really, she's
Does she like
at
the
the high,
she loves
right?
the times, okay, good, yeah. If you look at science, is the next one, I think, we had a significant increase and outpaced the state. The state, you'll notice, dropped by those 2 percentage points. And then social studies, and science, by the way, just thinking back, last year, I'm trying to remember, was our second year of implementation of the new curriculum. Social studies this year would be the first year of implementation, but last year's scores, we did maintain that distance above the state results.
Back to math for
Yeah.
3rd graders, I did notice the similar dip as English,
Yes,
so I'm assuming that you're just sort of diving into what's going on
We
with
are
that
trying to figure out
population
what's
and
going
just
on,
trying
yeah.
to figure out, cause you now got 2 dips in 2 different subjects.
for in 2
and-
different subject areas, yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
so, and they're similarly amount of dipping, so.
Correct.
Yeah, and sometimes there are groups of students where there's just more need in particular areas, and so that's because we are comparing 2 different groups of students there, you know, when you're looking at 3rd grade, so you try to keep that positive trajectory, but sometimes, you know, there are just groups where there are different needs, and so you dive in and really work to meet individual student needs.
Absolutely.
Which is what you're doing.
Well, and I think it goes without saying for both of you and then the peers that aren't here tonight, I know we talked to the high school about, we've put a lot of curriculum changes, especially in English language arts, on the teachers.
Sure.
So to see these types of results this soon, after the amount of change that they've had to embark on, is remarkable and super to be celebrated. So I know every time we would get the scores, I would say to Amy, how are your teachers feeling? And she's like, they're bummed out, they're exhausted, they're tired. And so to see the investment of time and energy made and to like do things a different way, not dramatically, but do things a different way, and then to see the student achievement has to be so rewarding for your teachers. So just let them know that we realize that was hard work and we're so sincerely appreciative.
And you did say this was the highest score since 2018, 2019, or 2017, 2018.
Correct.
Wow. That's awesome.
Sounds about right.
Can I say pre-COVID or without a say?
Wow, awesome.
Forever.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, and
Kudos to you and
the forward exam was only a couple years old at that point. So
Right.
this has to have been one of your highest scores since the forward exam.
It has been.
That's great.
The work we're doing, the steps in terms of those key strategies, trying to keep things, not have 17 different goals, so you'll notice some overlap between reading and math. One of the terms that I'm using very regularly at Riverside is like positive deviance. There's a lot of work around positive deviance in healthcare and other places, so it's basically we're trying to identify who are those classrooms over time that are having the highest positive results with kids in terms of growth, in terms of achievement, unit by unit or year over year. Hard to do, so we're trying to dig deeper in the data, but once we identify those classrooms, and it's a delicate balance because it's a culture issue. If I put a crown on Jenny and say she's our best teacher, that's a delicate culture
You're
issue
celebrating
too.
the greatness,
So-
but you're also not
Correct,
sending another message.
so trying to balance that. Along with that though, once we know those classrooms, it's our job to go in there and identify which practices they're using. So we have our instructional goal team is really working hard, and we know in education, I mean, we've known for years, there's lots of research in terms of what are those high leverage practices. But what are those high leverage practices, identifying a few of them at Riverside that are going on in those classrooms, these become, our guiding document. This is the way that practice looks, this is the beginning stage of it, this is the middle stage, this is end stage, so that teachers are very clear on the target and coaching around those practices. So that's what we're really working on, in terms of identifying what are gonna be your practices, where those classrooms, getting in there as kind of detectives and figuring out what they're doing, and then replication of those 1 and 2 practices, school-wide. The other thing that we're really trying to dig deeper on in terms of, we've had professional learning communities for a long time in education at Riverside. We're trying to push really, my big aha, and again, this is, Jenny found this, we've been attending a CISA 6 workshop virtually in terms of, it's basically rooted around problems of practice and literacy. But one of the things that has been an aha for me is the protocol that they have taught us to look at data and have teams use data. And it's really pushing root cause a little bit more. I think sometimes it's really easy when looking at data to talk about the kids or talk about, I'm gonna just switch this graphic organizer, things like that. But really to push root cause in terms of it, in terms of our ELA assessments, they're broken up by conventions, word study, and comprehension. So are we not devoting enough time to word study? Is it the structure? Is it the curriculum? Is it our pacing? What practice could it be? And making a shift in our practice to impact the data. So really we've refined our processes and really pushing semester 2 now to push teams a little bit harder in terms of identifying a root cause and then having us go in that next month after the unit to really give them feedback on what they identify as what practice they're going to use to impact that root cause. So that's gonna be a big push second semester, and you'll notice the carryover between math and reading there, and those are kind of our key strategies right now. Again, our attendance data, we're doing really well in attendance. You can see we're at 92.3 thus far, which is really good for that midpoint of the year. We have proactive meetings between myself and a social worker in August with families that may have struggled with attendance last year. We do a lot on the positive end too, a lot, when we notice good families that maybe that have struggled last year, students that have struggled and they have a positive change this year. How do we celebrate that in the notes home, to celebrate the books, or we have a book vending machine, so giving little incentives like that. So we're trying to find the good as well. Mr. Albertson did a nice job last year, I think, just refining the district process for communicating and meeting with families. So we're trying to, with our APs, just stick to that process and being very consistent amongst the schools, where maybe in the past there wasn't always that consistency. from school to school. We have a student and staff culture goal team, which is new this year. They're really working on a lot of things related to the student culture. Their data point is our student wellness survey, and I just wanted to point out a couple things there that we're proud of. We had 369 kids take it out of 470. As you know, we have to request permission. Students that said that they have a positive connections with a classmate, that increased last fall 94% said they did, this fall 95% said they did. In terms of having a positive connection with an adult, last fall it was 89%, this year was 83%, so a little bit of a dip there. The stressed and overwhelmed question is one we always, there's lots of questions, I'm just highlighting a few, but one we pay attention to is 69% of kids last fall said, I'm feeling stressed at school. 40% said this fall. When they pick the drop down, like what's stressing you out, tests remain the number one thing that is stressing them out. Although the flip side of that is when you ask the question, do you have positive ways to keep your body calm when you're feeling stressed? 80% of them said yes, I do. So, and I don't wanna emphasize this too much because some stress is good, we all have stress, and you should have a level of stress and anxiety around a test. I mean, that's good in a way as well, you just don't wanna be overly stressed out too. So I think it's just, they're young, just teaching them those things going forward, but that's kind of Riverside in a nutshell.
Good work, great story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work, commending you and the staff, and this is awesome, it's good seeing positive results, and let's keep pushing forward.
I like the out of the box thinking and looking at different avenues and that growth mindset and
And I like words like root cause, because it's more than just a narrative, it's really individualizing to a student and what the need is and what the miss might be, and helps get them on the correct course, so.
Yeah.
The fact that you're taking the time and even have the data available to dive into that level is just incredible, so.
Do you guys use, when you're doing your initial work, use that chart we get with the historical, what's the term I'm looking for, the bystander forward results?
Oh, then.
We use that in
Yeah.
October,
Yeah,
that's what we use in
Okay,
October, yeah.
that's, we use that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used that for a few years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that speaks to our PDSA cycles.
Exactly.
Alright, Valley View.
Well, I mean, we are so lock and step, like I don't wanna be a broken record here, there's a lot of things that Scott articulated it very well, and he usually does, that's his strength, not quite my strength, but I love being the principal at Valley View. I love my job every day, and part of it is the team I work with, it's the kids, the families, so it's a joy to come to work every day, so I just wanna throw this out quick, cause I want us to really caution us about putting too much emphasis on one snapshot here of a forward exam score. Although I know how important the information is we need the information, we need to know how kids are doing in relation to the Wisconsin state standards. I understand that, but this is one score, one snapshot, and there's so much more to tell about a building, about just overall, so. We're working hard at Valley View, just appreciate my teachers and the teams. We had our highest score ever, just like Riverside, we increased by 8.1 points, and our ranking went significantly up, so we're super proud of that.
Way to go. And while I absolutely hear you on the, hey, this is a snapshot in time, without it, I don't know that you have a measure, and maybe you do, to be able to recognize the impact that all the changes in the teaching have had.
Yeah,
So
no, I know it's
one of those-
important,
it's a double-edged thing where,
just
but
wanna
it gives them
caution
the
us.
success of, let's do more of what we're doing, because it
Yeah.
is having the impact, so.
For sure.
And this, we have lots of assessment data that we do use internally, but this is the measure for how we're doing across the state
Right.
and across other, compared to other elementary schools and just other districts, so yeah, I would definitely,
Well, and I like to see the leap, because you and I have talked about, hey, you get excited about the 1% and move in the right direction, and 8% is a really giant growth, and so that's where you can tell that you're actually having, regardless of the day we're having in the point in time, that's indicative that's headed in the right directions in a fast way.
you can assume that even if the next day isn't quite as good, we're
Right.
still going in the positive direction. I agree, yes, there's definitely more to a school, but these are public, so it's important for us to understand
I
them,
agree.
so, yeah.
Agree. So
Sorry, I'm
ELA,
jumping
yeah,
ahead.
second slide here just shows us an ELA, bright spot for us, right? We increased by 3 percentage points. I know that may not sound like a lot, but compared to the state, they dropped and we went up 3%, so super exciting. All right, next slide. This is just, again, breaking it down in grade levels, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Bright spot here would be 5th grade, and they increased their percentage,
8%.
Yeah.
Wow.
so
Again, you did some targeted work there.
we're good.
Let's have
5th grade had
breakfast.
been kind of an area of dip for us, so
Yeah.
it's nice to see that strong finish to the end.
Well, let's talk about math a little bit here. We did drop by 2 percentage points, but again, we still way outperformed the state, so we're gonna continue to, root cause and dig deep into, we need that score to continually go up.
And as a district, just as a reminder, we are looking at elementary math as a part of our curriculum review process at this point. So
Yes.
something we've identified as a
Yeah.
team is it's
I
time.
think that'll be a piece that will help us for sure. Again, a breakdown, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we're doing okay, right? We we're doing okay. We still outperform the state by, quite a bit. 70%, that's high. We're doing well in math. But again, are there areas of improvement? And are we identifying those and action planning around those? Yes. Yes. Science, we can take a look at that. Of course, this is 4th grade. We were down 1%. The state went down 2%. But still, if you compare us to the state, we're still, outperforming the state pretty well at science.
And we don't get, 1%,
Yeah.
we don't get excited or disappointed.
I mean, it's better to be status quo than to go the other way, so.
Mm-hmm.
Social studies, we maintained, we have a new curriculum this year that I think we're all excited about. I think that's gonna see some nice cross-curricular pieces, between ELA and social studies that, I think we're gonna see some reading comprehension strategies, critical thinking, our research skills with the new ELA curriculum and now this new social studies. I think that's gonna give us some big dividends there. So our strategic actions, goals and strategic actions, very similar to what Riverside's doing. We continue to action plan and do our plan, do, study, act cycles around our unit assessment data. Scott talked about, really digging into root causes. Our data meetings, very intense. Today we just had a 3-hour data meeting because we just got done taking our winter map. And we are taking it kid by kid. We are taking it kid by kid. What does this kid need? And this is not gonna surprise anyone, but there are some kids that are puzzles. They are puzzles. Does this kid need a phonics? Do they need a reading comprehension? What is it? When we're looking at the scores across, not just a forward score, but MAP, AIMSweb, like all the data that we have, we're just really, really, really thoughtful about getting this student what they need. So that's been your support around our literacy coach, Kristen Middlecamp has been amazing. I think our literacy coach is at both buildings, so thank you for supporting that. That's been one of the greatest blessings, and just academic wise, she's amazing. And just our literacy and math teams. It's great to have coaches, right? They're working with teachers. That's where you're really going to see the biggest bang for our buck is really coaching those teachers in instructional practices, and so that's been great. We're going to continue working on our 3rd grade with targeted fluency work. Mr. Hausman, our math coach, he meets with every 3rd grade student at the beginning of the year and does a fluency, and same at Riverside. We're seeing where kids are at. You have to be efficient now with your math fluency, right? You've got to be quick, you've got to be efficient, otherwise it's going to slow you down, right? So, here's a quick example, 5 + 4, right? We don't want kids saying 5 and then counting up 4, we want them to realize 5 plus 5 is 10 and then subtract 1, that gets me 9. We want them to be able, that's faster than counting 5, 6 on their fingers, 4 up, so we're working on those kinds of things. Goal setting is very powerful at both buildings. We have to do learning journal binders. So we put important information in there, those go home, we goal set, we talk to kids about where they're at with their goal, and where they need to head and where they need to go. And then just attendance real quick, we have 90%, we have 89% of our students at 90% of attendance or better. So overall though, we have an attendance of 94% as a building. So it's worded a little different here. But yeah, we're doing well on attendance, I mean, I don't need to say the same things, but it's exactly the same at both buildings. Meeting with parents, we follow the flow chart. We welcome kids and say, we're glad you're here, and just work with families and, when they have an issue of getting to school, like how can we help, right? And then the creation of the school culture team, I think it's been new at Valley View at least, and so thanks to Scott for pushing in that area. We didn't have one before, and so this is really working on the wellness survey. I didn't bring the data, but I certainly can share that if you want to. Yeah, we're doing well. We're happy. We're happy with how we're doing.
Great job.
Yeah, good, thank you
Kudos to
very
the
much.
teachers.
And just, Jenny doesn't know this, but one of our program administrators, one of our program administrators was at your data meeting today. She came back to the office raving about
Oh,
the intensity with which you guys were working.
I mean,
The
that's
thoughtfulness
intense.
around the data and the
Yeah.
students and yeah.
And are you able to capitalize on that 3 hours because it's it's a Wednesday, and so it's the early release part, or how do you pull the resources in the middle of a already busy day to get after that?
Yeah, I mean, we have to align to everybody's calendar. And so 8:30 this morning, we had a staff meeting from 8 to 8:30. 8:30 this morning, we were on it. So we did use some school time, because we were meeting with teams after school and that was already planned. So 8:30, right away, we're digging in.
I appreciate you giving me some time up until 8:30. It was at Valley View. Appreciate that.
Lots of hard
Great
work, you
work,
guys.
yeah, thank you very
Kudos to you and
much.
your team, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's the
Lots to celebrate.
consistency and the day after day that the kids really look forward to it, and then obviously the teachers too, with the expectations, and it's great. You can see the results speak for themselves.
Brag about it, for sure.
So just to sum up here, we've got, or to wrap up, we've got our benchmarking compared to our comparable districts. And so English language arts for 3rd through 5th grade, similar percentage to last year, we're at the 62% proficient last year, 63% proficient this year. But you can see that compared to the districts, we moved up 1, so that's progress. And then in math for grades 3 through 5, our percentage, not much change, 71% to 70% this year, and similar progress. But I know it looks like it dipped there, but we went from 66 to 71, so it was just that was an area where I think we had a shift in scoring. So we continue to make progress, and math at elementary is the area that we're looking at right now. So we need to continue the next steps. So yeah.
Yes, always a
Our
process.
update, so
Yes.
yes, always a lot happening, we appreciate our principals and coaches and our teachers who engage in all of the work to help meet the needs of each and every student, to move our system forward.
Thank you for your
Great job.
time,
Yes,
coming in
thank you.
this evening, when it's so cold.
Thank you for listening.
Appreciate the update.
The tie change. Although I should say, you coordinate with the Tennessee Cup very well.
Mr. Walter, for once and for all, what is on that tie?
It's helmets and footballs.
Okay.
Okay, it was different earlier today though.
It may have been.
Okay, that may have been.
I will not confirm nor
The
deny.
haven't changed their
It's high.
time, so I wouldn't,
Just because the moon strikes, it's okay.
Yeah, I-
You have to worry about it.
no, I did not go home and change anything. I didn't even go home, so I.
Both principals have early mornings, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna excuse them.
Thank you
They
very
don't wanna
much.
stay
Yes.
and talk about.
Jenny has a little bit of a drive, and I will see you bright and early at Riverside.
Okay.
Thank you for
All
coming.
right, thank you
so much.
thank you, appreciate it, thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you everyone wants to stay.
next up on the agenda. So post-secondary certifications and then credit opportunities report.
Yes, so every year we bring to you an annual update of our post-secondary certifications and just what students have been participating in over the past year. And Laura Alva Garcia, our curriculum specialist, does a fantastic job of pulling this report together every year. So I'm gonna let her jump in and her take the lead, and then I'll probably jump in a little bit. But she knows these numbers backwards and forwards at this point.
So we're gonna talk through the different opportunities that our high school students have. We'll go through the different programs. Feel free to interrupt with questions as usual at any time. So our internship and our youth apprenticeship programs kind of goes hand in hand together. Our youth apprenticeship program is a pretty intense program with very specific hours worked requirements along with specific course requirements that your YA or youth apprenticeship has to link to so that they match. So if a student wants to be in a youth apprenticeship for finance, they have to be in a finance-facing field for the apprenticeship, and then they also have to be taking a finance-facing class at the high school. Internship is a little more flexible in less of a minimum hours requirement, and that the student has to have an internship working somewhere, and then they also have to be taking what we call a career and technical education class, which has different rules around it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be lockstep, hand in hand with the subject of the internship the way YA does.
Sure.
So you'll see that a little bit in the numbers as we come up.
So yeah, here's our enrollment trends.
Yep, so Lisa we work with Lisa Kiefer for all of our numbers, and Lisa Kiefer oversees the two programs. She does an amazing job. We really appreciate her. And so I was talking to her about the numbers. The youth apprenticeship numbers were kind of where she expected them to be. She does a lot of work with students to look for internships, see what's applicable, build community relationships for our students to have opportunities, things like that. And then I was talking with her, I'm like, the internship numbers really spiked, what's going on here? And she said she has a lot of seniors that were looking for internships in second semester. So her numbers increased more than she had expected them to with students looking for those opportunities. The youth apprenticeship program generally takes an entire year, where that internship, because of those decreased hours, you can fit in a semester.
Sure. So Lisa does a fantastic job of building those community relationships to make that happen for kids.
Yes. And then here you can kind of just see the past 10 years worth of where our students have done their youth apprenticeship experiences. So our finance program and our health program, incredibly strong, right? Those are areas that our high school really excels at, especially with those job experiences and the community relationships. Manufacturing, architect, and construction also. And then the the business administration. That's a brand new program that the YA stuff that we have to do with the state and the different qualifications that they have around that, we were able to create that and start that last year. So I think we'll probably see finance and business administration kind of start to even out a little bit.
Sure.
Based on student interests, so it's a great opportunity for those students, so maybe they have a little, business administration is a little more broad, right, than the finance
And that was
specifically.
new for this school year.
For 24-25.
So last school year.
Okay.
Yes,
So we're in year 2 of that.
yes.
Gotcha.
Exciting to be able to broaden that out a little bit, knowing that just that business department has been so strong here. We've got a strong foundation at middle school as well.
Question for both these programs, how does it work for kids that are students that are involved in like after school activities? So whether it be a sport, multiple sports, maybe, theater, choir, band, something that requires a lot of practices, how do they balance the being gone from school and participating in those activities? And do they have to choose or can they still do both?
They can do both depending on probably the season. I know sometimes their YA hours may fluctuate. Kids might be able to pick up a ton of hours during breaks, like Christmas break, spring break, to kind of build those things depending on the internships they have or the apprenticeships. The students and Lisa work with Heather Slatson's scheduling and the guidance counselors so that they can mark off the school blocks, we'll say, of time, and then that time gets marked into their calendar as youth apprenticeship or internship, so it shows them enrolled in that program. And then they have the school counselors who work with Heather and the student to make sure that they're hitting all their graduation requirements so that they don't fall behind in any credits there that they need to do. And then when there are conflicts that we simply can't get around, they look and see what flexibility we have in scheduling. Does a student need an independent study? Because there's a graduation requirement that they can't get around, but that YA has to be done at that time because it's a health YA and you don't get to pick your hours in the health field.
Right.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they do a ton of planning around that and they do a great job.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. The Cooperative Academic Partnership Program, which we call the CAP program, is a partnership that our district has with some different colleges and universities where our high school teacher teaches the college course content at our high school. And we have the partnership with the university so that the students can enroll at the university and pay a severely discounted per credit fee for the students to receive the college credit. So the kids have the credit as long as they, pass the class. It's not a test that they have to take to get the credit like AP typically is. So the students earn the credit when they finish the class. Yep, here are the different class opportunities we have. So you can see like our finance and business has always been strong. The German and Spanish, students actually there commonly have the opportunity to choose to do CAP or to do AP. So if they don't wanna pay the tuition cost, they can pay the lesser cost to take the AP exam and get that score that way. And then we have the education classes. You'll see one is discontinued for 24-25, and that was a choice made by the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. They discontinued the class. So we still offer a version of the class, just without the college credit because we don't have a college to match with for that class.
Sure.
And then the last one is our partnership with UW-Milwaukee on anatomy and physiology. All right, the Start College Now program and the Early College Credit Program are probably some of the greatest opportunities that our students have in our district to be able to get college credits in courses of their interest or their specific fields where they're thinking they want to go into after high school.
It's kind of the most flexibility.
Yes.
Flexibility within course choice.
Yes, exactly. So the Start College Now program is the program that works specifically with the Wisconsin technical colleges, where the Early College Credit Program works with public and private colleges and universities. So Start College Now is specific to 11th and 12th grade. Early College Credit can be 9th through 12th grade. Both the programs have applications that students complete designating which course they're interested in taking. It goes through a review and approval process and then they get that notification.
Both of these are guided by state statute.
Yes.
Okay.
So here you can see, this is, to be specific, the total number of courses taken, not the total number of students.
Sure.
So the Start College Now numbers are big this year because we had some students that really took advantage of the program and took multiple courses. So think like, I think one might have been automotive, where a student took like 3 different automotive courses at once.
Sure.
So
So
great opportunity.
Are they on site at our high school and being administered, or are they going to a tech school for it, so they're like dual enrolled?
Yeah, they're going to the tech school.
Okay.
Or they're taking, a lot of times they're taking things online now.
Okay, but then would they do that online class from our school, or are they at home? Or
It
is
depends
online?
on when it's offered
Okay.
too.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I think there are a few evening classes in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so the Start College Now numbers are high and they fluctuate significantly.
And interest. And availability,
Class.
sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
course availability at the college or university, because our students do not get first choice for, you know, participation, so it's true. Yeah, it gets, but yeah, I was really pleased with these numbers this past year, so.
And the same with the early college credit program. Those were, we had a couple students that had taken quite a few courses in like high level math, high level science. Those kids that Tammy was probably talking about where they had really maxed out the high school opportunities. And the next step was those advanced courses at the college level.
So with Start College Now and Early College Credit, old high school principal thing, is that your proximity to a university or a granting institution matters.
You can,
Like your
yes,
physical
depending on the
proximity.
course, yep.
So when I was a high school principal, I had UW Stout literally 2 blocks from the high school. So the numbers were extremely accelerated, but I know on some future slides, they'll get to the rest of the
Yeah,
deal, but that matters.
it does, so
Like
we're,
if you go to Whitewater Public School District, UW Whitewater's right there, they have 12,000 students, and I guarantee you their numbers are extremely accelerated because of the proximity to that granting institution.
so we can be at a little bit of a disadvantage in that
Yes,
area, depending
just-
on your transportation options.
Just because of physical proximity, transportation, and then they have other classes in the high school that they need to.
Correct, you have to
to-
navigate all of that.
So that's just a function of where we are physically.
Yes.
Then there are some other opportunities.
Yes, so then we also offer the transcripted credit, which is the agreement we have with WCTC. So our courses go through like a review and then the content is shared between WCTC's course and our course. WCTC reviews the instructor, they have to have specific licensing or sign off saying they have the correct
Degrees, et cetera.
yes, to teach the course. And then the students can take the class, they don't have to pay anything for the credit that they could earn, but if they choose to go on to WCTC, then those credits kind of like backfill onto their transcript. So we, you can see we have quite a few of them. And the transfer to 4-year college credit always depends on where they're going to school.
Sure.
But this is an opportunity right in the high school, which
Yes,
is nice,
yep,
so.
on site, they don't have to go anywhere, they don't have to pay anything for it, and it's available to them.
Dollars and cents for the board members, it's about $250,000 a year in savings. And there it is.
There it is.
I almost stole the thunder, but that's alright.
Wow. What a lead in.
I mean, just,
It's like
you know,
you
just
guys are thinking on the
the
same
life
wavelength.
thing.
Well, I mean, the reason this is critically important is because they don't physically have to leave our school. And these are our teachers teaching credits, they're getting high school credit, but also college credit at the same time. And the beauty of this is the savings are to our existing taxpayers. And on top of that, when they go to college, I know this, 2 out of my 3 children had transcript these exact credits, and 2 out of my 3 kids started college as sophomores because they had already done all of their freshman work in this manner. And that opportunity exists for all of our students going through the high school if they choose to do that. That's a choice to have the different pathways and academies to do that. And you can see a lot of our students making those choices.
Yes, absolutely, and yes, just to be clear, that $209,000 was the value of the tuition and the fees, but it's not what we paid out of the curriculum budget for
Right.
this opportunity, so.
Yep, that's the money that they don't have to pay essentially
Correct.
as parents for college credit, effectively.
Yes. Alright.
Another opportunity,
Yes.
WCTC.
So we have a partnership with WCTC called the Dual Enrollment Academy. And this is an opportunity where students that are highly motivated to be in almost like an entirely on-site at WCTC program can apply to the program. WCTC has a whole application process. They have to approve the student first, and then they send us a list of these are students we have a spot for and have approved. Now you need to go through them and look on your side. So the student can choose what they apply to. If they're accepted into the program, they spend basically their whole year at WCTC. They might be at our high school for 1 or 2 classes, think like English 12 and maybe a math credit.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time they're at the college taking multiple college courses. And the next slide will show you where our totals lie and how many participants we have and in what program they participated in. So the program participation highly varies, just depending on the students that are motivated to participate in the program, along with where WCTC has spaces. There are some highly competitive programs, IT systems, you can see one year we had 4 kids in, but other years we have none because their program fills multiple schools around WCTC have this agreement with them. So there's not always spots in the program. So we've got 6 this year, 3 last year. A couple of years ago we had 16. That was a huge year. So it just varies dependent on interest. And all these opportunities are opportunities that our school counselors talk to our students about in the kind of meetings they do with them each year so that they know what the opportunities are. And then we budget for our best guess at participation within the CLA budget.
How do students that participate in this, and maybe this is a finance question, count towards the student count?
That's a good question.
Because if they're at WCTC,
They count toward both actually, so it's a built-in double dip that's legal.
Okay.
Is why I'm saying it on camera, is that this, the technical college is receiving state aid on their side of the books, but we're also receiving state aid.
I was gonna say they're enrolled at both.
Correct, yes, they're still students about it.
It is, so it's a nuance, but how the technical colleges are funded is much different, although it's a similar pot of money, it's not the same pot of money. But dual enrollment, just on that point, is also very specific to proximity as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're here, and I've talked, it's not WCTC's fault, they just built a beautiful campus right next to Pewaukee.
Right.
So, I mean, if you go to Pewaukee High School, I mean, you know, I would imagine their dual enrollment numbers are like, cause they can do whatever, they can cross the road and they're there. And, you know, same with Kettle Moraine or Arrowhead is relatively close, it's a little bit of a hike for us. You know, cause we're at the other end of the county. But just, that's a thing too.
It's just something we have to take into consideration. It is a commitment on the part of the student and takes a level of maturity to manage that college environment. And they're very specific programs, so you know, it all depends on what students are interested in. So those are our programs. We know when we talk about redefining ready and ensuring students are ready for post-secondary work, whatever that is for them, that experiencing advanced level coursework in high school has a significant indicator, or is a significant indicator of potential post-secondary success. So you know, what you can see that it's not just the traditional advanced placement. You know, when I was in school, like advanced placement was about it. And now there are just so many opportunities for our kids. And so we continue to advocate for those and ensure that we have the funding to be able to continue to provide those opportunities for kids.
That's great.
Through our different partnerships.
All right. Well, thank you for compiling all of that. It's nice to see every year those numbers and where the students land, and it's interesting sometimes the class will be robust in the opportunities they capitalize on, and other classes the trend is not that way, but it's good that we have those opportunities, and so thank you for making sure that that's in the budget and obviously.
Support those, make sure deadlines are hit, et cetera, signing those agreements. Just got the dual enrollment agreement, so sent that to you.
I signed it.
All right.
I saw the
Exactly, there you go.
Excellent, perfect.
It was a DocuSign today.
It was, thank you very much for the district I got it, and it said district administrator, I was like, oh, that's not me. That's somebody else, so I'll make sure the bill gets paid, but I'll let you sign that, so yeah.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up on the agenda, we have the committee agenda items. So I know that we touch base on this every time that we meet to see if there's anything else that we wanna take a look at. In addition to what we already have kind of on the,
Exactly, I
Up
can
and
give you,
coming.
I can give you a preview of what I'm thinking about for February and kind of what I have scheduled. We had asked for, you had asked for an update with the elementary counseling curriculum, and so, while Mr. Halverson's not available in February, the counselors are available, so I do believe they're going to come to our February meeting.
okay,
Our Shady Lane and Ben Franklin principals were originally scheduled to come tonight to be a part of the academic update. They have 4K registration tonight, so we felt like that was more important for them at that moment. So we're just making this a very spread out academic update, but fingers crossed they will be here for February.
Okay.
And then our elementary math team is ready to come and share with you what math materials they would like to pilot next fall.
okay,
So we have had really the gift of time with our elementary math update, or with our elementary math curriculum review, and they have been diligently working as math coaches as well as working with teacher teams, and they have previewed some materials and have 2 resources that they would like to look at next year, and I think the original thinking was that we would pilot in the fall next year, maybe make a selection later in the fall, early winter, and
Sure.
then those folks who had piloted the chosen resource could continue to use it next year. And then the following year, we can have a full adoption. That's kind of where we're headed. So they're very excited to come talk to you. So
nice.
we've got that scheduled for February. And then I also had tentatively talked to Sarah Rasparelli, our literacy program administrator. We will, just at the end of this week, have finished the winter round of the Act 20 Ames Web Full Literacy Assessment. And so that's still on the newish side.
Right,
Thought it would be helpful to kind of bring back a mid-year update to see where we are on that, if that's all right, and I think Sarah's available. So that would be 4 things for next time.
Yeah.
Filling up
there's a lot going on.
filling up the agenda, and then there's some other things on here that are scheduled for later on in the year. Avid social studies, staff travel, personal finance, so.
Just one quick question on the math curriculum. Cause I mean, obviously it's a core subject and it's really important that we have this opportunity to improve. And they're looking closely at that. I'm assuming that they're looking at some of the gaps that we have right now and how to fill them.
Yes.
And then what other districts surrounding us
Yeah.
are using and the results they're getting.
Yes,
I'm
so,
sure they'll come forward with, they always do a great job
Yeah.
at kind of laying out the details of how they've come to this conclusion and why, and so,
yes, they have, they've looked at our local data. They have looked at, what the latest research says about math, and there's some changing pieces there, so they have spent a lot of time. They did a book study, around, Mathematical Thinking Classrooms, a great book that was recommended to us that they really enjoyed. They we've talked to other districts, we have looked, they've had nearly a dozen resources that they had vendors come in and talk to them.
Okay, good.
Previews they dug
Okay.
through. I mean, we had a room full of
Yes.
materials.
that is.
So many materials, and now we're down to 2. One is a
Good.
very new resource
Okay,
that not many other districts are using. So we have but a couple other districts are starting to look at it. It's very new,
okay,
but they really like it. And the teachers who looked at it initially think it's really good, but we've also got something that is a little more traditional or, tried and true,
Sure.
that other districts in our area are currently using. We have had and I think we were the trendsetters a little bit in selecting bridges back in 2012, and so many of our other districts have been looking at bridges and using bridges, and we did look at the current version of bridges, but it did not rise to the top.
Okay.
So at this time, so that was kind of an interesting process to go through. So, but I do feel like, and having sat in on several of those meetings, feel like they have done a really deep dive.
Good.
And they will bring a robust presentation, so.
looking forward to it. Any other items that anyone would like to discuss at this time? Okay, with that, I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:54. All those in favor?
Second, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right ahead, second. So you motioned, so
Okay,
then I
I'm sorry.
seconded.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion has passed. Meeting is adjourned 6:54 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. She doesn't need a second, this one